Hello, everyone. Welcome to this exclusive podcast series of conversations with leaders who decide, disrupt, and defend. Our guest of the podcast is Mr. Aman Walia, the Group Chief Information Officer at Kanodia Group, with over 19 years of experience working closely with digital transformation projects in AI, cybersecurity, and beyond. On the other hand, we have Mr. Kirit Mandavgane as the host of the podcast, the Chief Strategy Officer at NSquare Xperts, who's been closely working with CXOs to deliver measurable customer success and turn business vision into digital transformation. We hope you like the podcast. Keep watching.
Hey Fahad, thank you for having quick introductions done. Aman, it's good to have you for this discussion. This is going to be a super interesting discussion, specifically when talking about AI, ERP, what it means for AI, ERP in specifics of AI. And we're going to talk about very pragmatic and a practical attribution and make it a lot more easier to comprehend for the potential audience. Now, Aman, you being sort of closely working on the tech transformation yourself, part of manufacturing domain yourself, and have been on the both of the sides on the utility as an ERP user along with the tech transformation. So I would like to introduce the side first, but this is the first sort of combination I would want to put for the audience as well. That we have got a person who has seen both of the sides, and that will make a lot more interesting discussion that what it implicates on true attribution of AI and the ERP part of it. So Aman, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kirit, and thank you so much, Parth, for such a fabulous introduction. And of course, Kirit, the way I see the digital transformation journey, which began mostly around 2015 when cloud or the cloud computing came in India. That was the time it became big in India. Now, this is the second transformation journey which has begun for organizations, specifically for the SMBs, right? Which had yet to begun their journey in digital, but now they have one more thing, AI, right? So that's now being very much combined journey, digital plus AI transformation journey. And the way I'm seeing it, that the future, what the future is going to hold is going to be fantastic, right? For the industries, for the SM, especially for the SMBs, where skill shortage is always there, where there's always a budget constraints for manpower, resources, perspective, right? So that's where the AI is going to play a big role for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when first and foremost, it comes down to AI implication with the ERP. Now, we both know it's not one of those hype-oriented things that fixes the problem, but there's a lot of background and then data and a lot of dependencies occur. So, what would be your take in a typical verbiage if I mentioned? Is it a new label with same old problems when it comes down to AI changing ERP scapes?
I mean, that's exactly what you just mentioned. Like, hey, that's exactly what is happening right now, the way I feel it. Because do we need ERP in next 5 years? That is my question to
Uh,
everyone. I mean, the way I look at it, I don't see we need an ERP solution, right? Everything will be so conversational. Everything will be so human. That doing a business or doing any kind of a business transaction in any system would not be required. I mean, it's people are communicating over the email. Everything is getting happening on the email or on the WhatsApp or whatever communication, even the verbal communication they are doing. Once those confirmations are done, their technologies are available, which will authenticate it and put whatever wherever it is required to save it and do the things. That's what things will happen in the backend by the AI or the blockchain or whatever it is. So the way I'm seeing it, I mean, right now the packaging is to make it. So the in the market is a lot of buzz of AI. So now the ERP solutions, what they are doing is they're just packaging something on top of it. They're not thinking outside the box. Where they should look into the reinvent something in a way that which actually can resonate with the technology which is there like AI. Actually complementing it. Here, what we are doing is just bringing one piece of AI and just putting it as a layer on top of a ERP or a data layer, and then moving forward. So it really needs a fresh outlook, I believe.
Yeah, totally. And with our spectrum as well as vested as a consulting company, we do see this as a twofold challenge. First of all, AI adaptation, and in our discussion, that exactly what we're trying to reestablish, that de-hyping something to make it very, very pragmatic. And what are the maybe the check marks or checklist when it comes down to these sort of transformation where see the future is obviously promising with AI, since ERP being the centrifugal point, or ERP, CRM become centrifugal point for how organizations operate, and the adaptability becomes a lot more promising as well. But the building blocks becomes a challenge, and probably organizations have tendencies to not to understand where to begin or what are the steps would look like. Hence my question. So talking about in the same context, now for you, uh, since you're being tremendously working on manufacturing side yourself, so at what juncture, being an ERP user, and you thought, okay, this is an AI adaptation would change relevancies or bring some tremendous change on how you operate. So what your experience has been, and what juncture you would rather have gotten to you that, okay, AI is the answer for some of the problems you're facing currently.
Kirit, before I jump to this particular point of where we are and how we're moving forward into this, I'll just take one point from your what you just mentioned earlier, that AI adoption and people acceptability of AI. So what has happened in 2023 when ChatGPT came in? Everybody was having access to AI in the palm of their hands, in their mobile phones, and they were so. What it created was it created the awareness, it created the usability, right? So people were getting aware, okay, what AI can do, right? And it has created a lot of with this, it has created a lot of illusions in people's mind. So when we talk about AI adoption, why it fails? Because people tend to align it that it is a magic wand. You just do a swish and everything will be done. It's not like that. For AI to work, you need to ensure you have the right set of data with you. Your data integrity and your data availability and has to be ensured. Most of the
Correct.
organizations struggle with that, right? Even if I would say it's not SMBs, it's a big organizations also struggles with that. That their data is not available in the right manner, the way it should be for to be AI ready to be consumed by AI. And hence that is why the major people gets, okay, this is something which is illusion. AI can't do it. It's a gimmick. It is good for that chat GPT thing only, where people can ask questions and converse, but it is not good for the business. Hence that is not, but actually that is not the case, right? So what we need to do, and like what we did was in my previous organization and the current organization which we are doing is we create a complete journey roadmap for AI. And to do
Absolutely.
that, what we did is we considered all the functions, right? Which ensure all the processes which are either vertical or horizontally, cutting through the functions, they are also be mapped again in the AI as in the transformation journey, right? If something is happening in finance, it is somewhere or somehow is impacting the my sales or my procurement, and similarly from procurement, but sales or HR side, right?
Yeah.
So what we did is we first did a complete study of all the processes, which processes can be utilized with the current set of AI technology which is available in the market. And then from there we build a roadmap. Okay, what is where we need to invest in deep learning, where we need to invest in machine learning, where we need to invest in generative AI, where we need to invest in agentic AI. So that's how we, segregated those use cases and started working upon them based upon low hanging fruits, high impact, high value or high cost beneficial items. That's how we did it. Uh, and that's the approach which any organization should take to ensure the success of the AI journey.
Understood. So, in the similar context, what I would rather even comment over here is like, now organization, we talked about data dependencies, process dependencies, selecting the problem statement as you go along. Um, how would you sort of put this question where misunderstanding about some of the organizations about the AI or over jargonizing that happens and makes this adaptability a real challenge. So can you pinpoint some of the obvious challenges that you might be contemplating as well for the organizations?
Absolutely, it is there. I mean, I'll give one example which we faced in the organization. And what one of the areas, not the issue which we faced, but people was like, this is can be done by AI, this is AI, which was not the AI. So there was a problem statement with respect to certain process wherein we were discussing. Okay, there's our whole process. So cement is a process industry, right? So our uh, right from the mining to pyro processing to cement mill. It's a steps. Each the material will go through different sections, different areas. Now the question was coming that how we can optimize that. Now there are two ways of doing it. One is called optimizers. So what optimizers do is so they have a min max as a parameters defined for certain for the key monitoring parameters. Like for example, for kiln, it will be heat, oxygen, carbon, and all, a lot of other aspects. There's a parameter defined. Okay, if this goes down in this range, there's a parameter defined. If it is going down, you can go and tweak this much value for this particular thing, right? So people are like, okay, this is AI which is already doing it. This is already AI. We're already using AI, which is optimizer. It's not an AI, right? So what AI will do is over here, AI will study the data pattern historically, and then will tell you what is going to happen in your kiln in next 1 or 2 hours. And that is
Correct.
value. That is not reactive. That is value wherein you are saving that cost, and your process is running smoothly constantly. You're saving on power, you are saving on raw material consumption cost, raw material consumption. So there's a lot of improvement which comes through that. So that is where there are challenges we also faced. But yes, it took us time. It took us a lot of change management, but it gradually we were able to address all those areas very convincingly.
I think that rightly pointed out. I think cascading these expectations and how you want to build from one part to the another makes a lot of things easier and adaptability a lot more promising as well. So now, ERP vendors oversimplify versus what it really takes to make AI work inside the core systems. So, what your experience has been as far as this chunk of activities are concerned?
They are doing the best what they can do with the existing framework and architecture they have, right? For an example, they're automating the accounts payable solutions. They're automating certain uh, processes of finance, which earlier being done by RPA. Now there's intelligent RPA, you can say, kind of thing they're building on top of it, right? But where the value of AI actually comes in, wherein when I'm talking about cement or any pipe or any metal industry or any other such industry, where they need forecasting, demand generation, they need
Right.
help in that, where the revenue can be generated. Process optimization is one part, that's well and good, but actually the value proposition lies in these areas, wherein you can help them in that, wherein you can help them in optimizing their core production processes by monitoring in each and every value of quality or every step of the process. So that is where the value is, which is actually not coming in these ERPs because they don't have that kind of framework with that, right? So whatever they are doing is that is also required. I'm not denying it, but that is only tip of the iceberg, right? The actual value of AI lies when you touch upon all these areas.
Yeah, yeah. And mentioned about some of the inventory areas. So, are there any specific examples in your case where early on when the adaptations or as you're going through your own AI journey, things got worked out, or any use case that you would like to mention, or the before and
Uh,
after sort of impact?
See, before this, the one which I talked about, the process optimization piece, the Killen optimization, the whole process of Pyro, which we are talking about. So, right, which also optimized my mind. So that is around. We were able to have a high impact, high value impact saving in the cost and the in the raw material cost and in the power. Right, and I can't share the numbers, but it was quite significant.
Yes, so I think you did
Almost,
mention about
I
the
would say, if I
predictions.
give any percentage, it's around 10% of my cost of raw material consumption, which we were able to save.
Yeah, I think and definitely it helps uh, tremendously on the prediction standpoint versus the traditional reporting that is usually maybe has infectious noise into it, but the adaptation might have actually brought significant amount of change in the prediction part as well.
Exactly, Kenneth. And then, what happened was we did not stop at prediction. We connected it with the agentic AI. So we make that prediction which is coming into actionable item and use agentic AI to take that action. So we have
Yeah,
removed that piece of human intervention where the intellectual of human being as of now and that process is not required, right? So that is where we were able to, most of those action items which are 80% can be done
understood.
through agentic AI are being routed through that now.
So of course we talked about predictive analytics, which are significant in nature that are highly important towards decision making and how you go about um, dehumanizing certain aspects while humanizing some of the decision aspects as well. So when it comes down to AI in ERP, initiatives stall after pilot stages, etc. Any sort of juncture, not for yourself, but what would you pick are the challenging points where some of the aggressive AI sort of adaptation happens, and what initiatives or some of the anomalies stall the whole initial stages? What are those particular gray areas?
Like I mentioned earlier now, that the thought is very at that moment the thought is very limited,
Yeah,
right? If they're touching only one particular area, if we talk about let's call it MVPs, right? So 70% of MVPs fail,
mm,
and that's not what I'm saying. That is what McKinsey is saying, right? And in fact, I was in one of the sessions of the CIO, wherein the respective party which has organized this session, they gathered certain data from all those CIOs. There were around 150 plus CIOs of Delhi NCR which were present. And in that data also it came that 70% of their MVPs failed. It was resonating with McKinsey, and the reason was only one thing. They were looking from only one lens for particular that process. It has to be looked across functions, cutting across functions. It has to be looked in that way. Only then you will realize the value of AI. Otherwise, you know the chances are that those such kind of MVPs will fail. If I talk about us, we did try it. I mean, it's not that we were very intelligent and from day one we understood, okay, let's do the AI transformation journey through which we tried certain MVPs, we failed, and then we
mm,
realized, okay, this is not the way we should go about it. It is similar to digital transformation journey. Let's not do it in a bits and pieces. Let's try this or that. Let's create a complete value chain where we're going to put those initiatives, and let's see how much benefit we can reap out of that.
yeah, and correct. And we have seen the AI adaptation or a journey need both governance and technology and the automation that actually defies the past or the current governance issue. Now we know this is a very important bridging that has to happen with what technology brings to the table, how governance look like. So what is the preempt limitations of tech solving certain element of problem, but the governance and the dependencies of AI adaptations. So how would you put that thing across?
See, if I talk about from a business perspective, right? So the technologies are available which can help us to ensure the governance of AI of the models by keeping it, containing it within our business, what's a business landscape, right? But if I talk about in general, the AI governance, so that is something that's a very important topic, significant topic for us, for us as in a country, or for us as a citizen of the country. Because in India, uh, everywhere there are cameras, right? There are cameras. People are putting up cameras and in their houses, outside houses. They're capturing images of everyone right now, right? With the
Right.
coming of DPDP, so you're aware of this
Yeah.
DPDPA law, which has already come up, and
Correct. Correct.
you know, it is precisely working in a way to control any kind of misuse of AI of any personal information of anyone. It is your face, it is your behavior, your gesture, which defines you, right? So that in a way is controlling and mitigating that impact, that if any AI can, can in a way impact you. But besides that, I also feel very important that we should always follow some kind of governance framework. So in NIST is already there's the one framework they have given, and which America is fabulously using. Europe has their own AI governance frameworks. They have listed a lot of do's and don'ts for the general large language model companies like ChatGPT or all those areas, like they did in the GDPR. Singapore there has their own, and I think India is also on the verge of releasing their own AI governance policy or AI policy after this AI summit, which is going to happen after 16 Feb in Delhi. But that governance itself, policy itself will not fix things, right? So you need to have some kind of a mechanism which makes it easy. So I was contemplating in my mind, discussing with myself how this can be done and how this we have to, because there's a lot of data is getting generated and you're seeing a lot of data in the internet, which is almost hyper realistic, right? But generated by AI. And people are
Correct.
getting,
Correct.
and it is setting the narrative. And this way, AI will be able to set narratives for you, right? It can build some stories and narratives can be set in your mind for certain things. It can change the elections. It can change the economy for a country. So for that piece, I always feel there is some kind of a mechanism available. Should be done like we have a IEEE set standard for the movement of networks. Similar such kind of standard should be there, that what kind, if any AI data is getting generated, is that it has to follow this kind of standard. Otherwise, it will not flow on the internet, through some hardware control, through some mechanism. So having governance is one piece, but implementing is a tough cookie.
Yeah, absolutely. And more times when we are working with enterprise for such journeys, governance becomes an ongoing practice, not only on the prior, but AI governance is something that is more point now to ensure guardrails, security implications, data inhibitions. Um, with with a legacy AI engine that comes by design as well, with which allows good amount of governance as well as security. But when you're working specifically with disparate systems, with AI engines having access to multiple information across the applications, that becomes important juncture for organizations to have these policies worked out, to have a little bit more on a prior basis as well as an ongoing basis. So I think you rightly said on how governance and tech becomes altogether ongoing journey in that fact. And of course, coming back to data exposures, or when it comes down to adaptations of AI, ERP, learning things from data, that becomes more imperative on who access what. Now, moving along, I will come down to usual, if the listeners are CIOs and CFOs, what should they get right first before pushing AI into ERP? Now, we have been talking multiple things. So, what could be an objective that, this is, or the common few first areas, I would, prima facie areas that they would look at before even thinking or because it's an investing investment centric approach. So what would how you would comment on the first and foremost if it has to be in brief and objective orientation?
I think the first and foremost thing they should do is to check whether they are AI ready or not, whether their landscape is AI ready or not. They have the data available in that format or not.
Mm.
First,
Correct.
they look into that, and then only they should initiate the journey. Mhm. And
Okay. And of
that's
course,
a very strong base
absolutely.
he
And
needs to
I would
focus on.
need to ask this uncomfortable question again for a really a truth or maybe an uncomfortable truth about AI and ERP. What your experience would suggest on the on what leadership teams usually tend to avoid when it comes down to having some sort of uncomfortable truth on juncture about the AI in ERP or the journey or to maybe the initiation of the whole thing.
The it's same change management is always, whenever you do any kind of new technology interventions or any process interventions, change management always become very tedious. So the this if I answer it in a very in a very candid way, people still think AI going to take their jobs,
Yeah.
right?
I think
Uh,
hybridization is one of those things which is there
which
and
is coming, and I quote this in every meeting, in every board meeting, that yes, AI will take over jobs, but AI also giving
yeah,
you opportunity to upskill. So
yeah,
upskill yourself.
exactly.
So I
Yeah,
mean, the
and that
way
is
I'm seeing it, and it has been said by Jensen as well, the NVIDIA CEO. The role of code developers has become redundant now, right?
exactly.
That is a very, that's what I tell the board also. I mean, the job is going for the IT person, not for you. The person who was there in my team writing code, he doesn't have anything to do now. It is being done by AI. He just have to write the code, the prompt, and AI will do the job for him or her. The job,
Yeah,
whatever you are
absolutely.
saying, it is going for IT first. It is targeting that area first. Then any other function it will come. But abhi to, it is going for the IT. So that's where
Yeah,
the people mindset still is, and they need to, evolve. They need to upskill themselves. That's always we tell them, and that's how we are doing it. We are organizing training programs for people. We are organizing upskill programs for people so that they can, elevate themselves. They how to use AI in the right manner in their day-to-day operations.
absolutely. And you said it right. I think hybridization, upskilling, there are certain elements that have tendencies to actually where AI will take part in the rudimentary areas of execution on the tech, on the execution, on the
True.
functional areas, but the hybridization will bring lot amount of combination of both humanization factor, AI with processes that will be time saving, less manual, and how organization will eventually benefit with the predictiveness, with the decision making, and the automations. Now, to conclude, I think we have hovered on a lot of basic to intermediate areas of where the organizations should be beginning, how they should be thinking, what should be their adaptive journey whatsoever. One thing for sure, Aman, that there's a lot of data dependency, there's a lot of pre-processing required, and what sort of problem solving the organization have to look at, and then move along. It seemingly sort of one-time fix, but it's an evolving journey of how, especially in context of AI and ERP working together, ERP itself brings a lot of requirement to having governances, having processes, having automations, and AI becomes even a lot more demanding on what the back data and data implications would rather suggest. So one quick maybe a takeaway from your side. This is what actually I could conclude from my end, but I would also let you have a quick comment on that.
One, I mean, I've said most of the things in what I feel in where we need to focus on, and I again reiterate or very much emphasize that we need to really relook into the way we are working right now, or all the organizations who are building ERP solutions. They need to relook how they going to going to remodel their ERP platforms. Because that is something which would be required coming future. The new generation which is coming, right? They don't use Google. They use ChatGPT, they use Gemini to do any kind of research. So we are the people, millennials are the people who are Google friendly or who use Google. So that's how the people are, they are changing the way they want to work, right? So that's where I believe that they should start this journey at their level also, and how they are going to model their ERP solutions. And for the businesses and the organizations, for them, it is very relevant, very important that they should start
Yeah.
immediately doing their assessments
And
done
I
from
think
the AI readiness perspective.
while we just have hovered through some of the, yeah, correct, correct. And we have gone through some of the maybe intermediate areas as well on what should be a hotline. But towards the next part of discussion, we should definitely bring up some of the actual scenarios from initial to next some of the advanced levels and we go along. I think that will put a lot more better light on this initiative of having a really pragmatics considered along with the AI and ERP, the building blocks and how things go along and what looks like from organization to organization and what their approach would be in this typical AI ERP journey. So I'm good from from my side, Aman. It was great speaking with you. And I look forward to another round of discussion as we go along discussing this further.
Thank you so much, Kirit. Thank you, and thank you so much for for inviting me for this session.
It's always great to speak with you, Aman. I will look forward to the next round as well. You have a good day ahead. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.